Peter Mubarak. Good evening, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Together with the Presidential Communications Office, we bring you the latest, widest, and most comprehensive news coverage from the People's Television, IBC, Philippine News Agency, Philippine Information Agency, and Presidential Broadcast Service. I'm Princess Abiba Saripaudak from Radyo Pilipinas. Welcome to Balitang Pambansa. Tonight's headlines. The government was able to successfully bring back the Filipinos who fell prey to scam hubs in Myanmar, with President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. assuring that all possible assistance will be provided to them. The Marcos administration vows to continue delivering services and programs that will help provide food for those who need it most. Lower House Solons believe that the impeachment case against Vice President Sara Duterte has become even stronger because of the evidence that they have been able to gather of late. The government has assured the Filipinos who fell victim to human trafficking linked to POGO operations in Myanmar will receive the necessary assistance and support. Meanwhile, the government is set to deploy personnel to aid in rescue operations following the devastating 7.7 magnitude earthquake in Myanmar. Our Charms Spina has the report.
The Philippine government has successfully rescued and repatriated 176 Filipinos who fell victim to human trafficking in Myanmar. Malacanang assures that President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s administration is committed to providing assistance to these survivors who were exploited in supposed scam hubs. The palace stressed that this effort reflects the chief executive's commitment to prioritize the safety and welfare of Filipinos. It also urged aspiring overseas workers to follow legal channels to avoid falling into the same trap. Reports show that the victims suffered physical abuse and punishment from their employers whenever they failed to meet their demands.
Huwag po silang makikipag-transact nang hindi alam po ng gobyerno. Kaya nga po tayo may POEA para po sila po ay mabigyan ng seguridad na ang kanilang pupuntahan ay sila ay safe. So, maliban po sa gagawin po ng gobyerno, makikipagtulungan po sana ang ating mga kababayan.
The administration reassures the public that rescue operations will continue if necessary. Malacanang is also promoting local job opportunities to reduce the need for Filipinos to seek work abroad in an effort to prevent being separated from their families just to eke out a living.
We are into projects giving more jobs to the Filipinos. So with this, I hope that they can rely on that. They can have these jobs that will match their capacities and skills.
Meanwhile, President Marcos has also ordered the deployment of over 100 government personnel to aid rescue efforts in Myanmar following a devastating 7.7 magnitude earthquake. Malacanang emphasized the importance of helping neighboring countries in times of crisis. The Philippine team will include medical workers, urban search and rescue experts, and members of the armed forces.
Mobilize na po ang mga resources para po agad tayo makatulong sa ating mga karatig bansa. At bukas nga po ang tentative travel date po for deployment para po makatulong po ang Pilipinas sa ating mga kababayan din po at sa mga citizens po, mga mamamayan po dito sa mga nasabing bansa.
As part of disaster preparedness, Malacanang calls on local governments to regularly conduct earthquake and fire drills and inspect buildings for structural safety. This is Charms Espina from PTV Manila for Balitang Pambansa.
Meanwhile, the Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, assured the public that it is closely monitoring the situation of Filipinos in Thailand and Myanmar following the powerful 7.7 magnitude earthquake. According to the DMW, efforts are ongoing to locate 4 missing Filipinos in Mandalay, Myanmar, in coordination with the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA. The agency is also in contact with the families of affected overseas Filipino workers in the Philippines, as well as the labor attaché in Bangkok, Thailand, and local authorities in Myanmar.
We are obviously coordinating with Ambassador Melicor and the Philippine Embassy in Doha, and of course dito sa Pilipinas, DFA Central Office. Tinutulungan nandun yung Migrant Workers Office Labor Attaché natin na abogado na siya namang ding nangangasiwa in terms of yung pagtulong sa kanila. Meron lang sapat na panahon para makita sila ng face-to-face at yan pa ang hinihintay natin at this stage. Pero rest assured, we are providing assistance to them in accordance with the law. At the same time, pinapaalalahanan natin yung mga kababayan natin na mag-ingat at sumunod sa host country laws and policies, processes and protocols, mga kaugalian doon.
4 Filipinos remain unaccounted for or are missing after Myanmar was recently hit by a magnitude 7.7 magnitude. According to Foreign Affairs Undersecretary Eduardo De Vega, most affected Filipinos are those who lived in the Mandalay, which is the nearest area in the epicenter of the earthquake. Most of them are teachers, office workers, and travel agents.
May mga Filipino humingi ng assistance. Hindi dahil nasaktan, pero baka kailangan lumipat ng lugar o nawawalan ng trabaho muna. Humingi ng financial assistance, authorization yung ating embahada na ibibigay natin, over $100,000 yan, para sa gastos, para sa mga kailangan ng ating mga babayan.
A Philippine contingent will be heading to Myanmar tomorrow to help in rescue operations after a magnitude 7.7 earthquake hit the said country. According to the Office of the Civil Defense, or OCD, 90 personnel will be deployed from various agencies such as Philippine Army, Philippine Air Force, Bureau of Fire Protection, MMDA, and Department of Health. To recall, some of them were also sent to Turkey after the country hit the earthquake. During the rescue operation, they will bring different equipment like a hydraulic cutter that cut through steel, snake eye camera to see the situation inside the debris, and a listening device which can detect voices and movements. The contingent team will stay in Myanmar until April 12.
Ang pangunahing misyon natin dyan ay makatulong doon sa paghahanap ng maaaring mga survivors pa doon sa mga nag-uuano na bagsakan ng mga struktura. Makapagbigay din tayo ng medical assistance doon sa mga tinamaan ng naging biktima ng malakas na lindol na yan.
On the other news, the government has reaffirmed its commitment to implement programs that provide adequate food assistance to the country's poorest communities. According to the palace, around 300,000 households, or approximately 1.5 million individuals, are currently receiving 3,000 pesos in monthly food assistance. The government is also reviewing a report from the social weather stations, which indicates that the percentage of the Filipinos experiencing involuntary hunger has risen to 27.2%. Aside from financial aid, the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, has established Walang Gutom Kitchen in Pasay City, which serves hot meals to low-income families. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. highlighted the importance of the celebration of Eid al-Fitr, which symbolizes unity and love for the people. The chief executive says that this is not just a simple celebration, but an opportunity to strengthen the unity and relationship of every family, friendship, and community. Therefore, the leader of the land urged the public to promote acts of kindness, engage in meaningful conversations, and participate in activities that spread the spirit of cooperation. The president hopes that such dedication and faith will continue to promote a new, peaceful, and better Philippines. Meanwhile, First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos paid tribute to women in celebration of the Women's Month. In a meeting in Malacanang, together with the lady ambassadors and the wives of the leaders of the Philippine diplomatic missions, she underscored the importance of the women in leadership and their ability to give strength in the communities. After earlier discovery of fictitious names of supposed recipients of the confidential funds of the Office of the Vice President, the House Prosecution Panel revealed more such type of names in today's lower house hearing on the matter. Mela Lismoras from PTV Manila has the details.
Lawmakers believe that the impeachment case against Vice President Sara Duterte has become stronger due to the pieces of evidence that the lower house has right now. This is largely due to the latest revelations made by House Deputy Majority Leader Paulo Ortega regarding the OVP's confidential funds. According to Ortega, there is a new set of fictitious names in the alleged budol gang, or people who were allegedly listed as beneficiaries of BP Sara's confidential funds. Dubbed as Team Grocery, this include Beverly Claire Pampano, Miko Harina, Patty Ting, Ralph Josh Bacon, and Salah Kasim. Ortega said, like many others flagged by the lower house, Pampano, Harina, Patty Ting, Bacon, and Kasim do not match with any official birth, marriage, or death records of the Philippine Statistics Authority. So he can't help but ask, where did the public funds go? For the House prosecution panel, this would be truly helpful for them in the impeachment trial.
We will have a stronger support for Article 2. If you recall, Article 2 is about confidential funds, and our allegations under Article 2 is that there were fictitious names, a lot of fictitious names which have no basis.
Vice President Duterte previously insisted that there were no anomalies in the use of confidential funds. Her supporters even argue that since they are called confidential funds, the recipients and their usage should also remain confidential or secret. But the prosecution has a response to that.
The use of fictitious names for confidential funds is not automatically legal, as in fact there are guidelines that the officials have to follow. For example, we were told that usually the real name of those hiding under fictitious names are usually given in a sealed envelope.
For Malacanang, they have this to say on the issue.
Hindi lang po siguro ang palasyo ang medyo nagtataka. Siguro lahat po ang taong bayan mismo ay nagtataka kung bakit ganito ang mga resibo na naibigay ng OVP. At ito po mga ebidensya na po yan ay ilalaan na lamang po natin at ipapaubaya natin sa House of Representatives at sa Senado kung ito gagamitin man sa impeachment trial.
From PTV, Melalas Moras, Balitang Pambansa.
The Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas senatorial candidates under the administration continued campaigning in different parts of the country today. House Deputy Speaker Camille Villar expressed deep gratitude for the support from Muntinlupa residents, while Senate Majority Leader Francis Tolentino visited Iloilo. In his message, the re-electionist senator underscored the importance of unity and understanding among government officials amid various issues concerning overseas Filipino workers. House Deputy Majority Leader Erwin Tulfo asserted that he will file a bill to provide pensions for OFWs when they retire and decide to stay in the country. According to Tulfo, once passed into law, this will serve as the government's way of showing gratitude for the sacrifices and efforts of our modern-day heroes. The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, will begin the deployment of automated counting machines in various areas of the country this week as part of its preparations for the midterm polls. Luisa Erispe of PTV Manila tells us more.
With just more than a month before the 2025 midterm elections, the Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, aims to start the deployment of the automated counting machines to different parts of the country. According to COMELEC Chief Attorney George Erwin Garcia, they aim to start the deployment on April 4 or this Friday.
Una po ang Bangsamoro, ang Caraga at siyempre yung Batanes, yan po lagi ay una sapagkat yan po yung pinakamalalayo.
The machine will go directly to the poll bodies' offices. Currently, there are 47,000 machines ready to be deployed and 63,000 are undergoing pre-election logic accuracy test or pre-lab. The poll body assured that all the machines that will be deployed are ready to be used on election day.
Inaalam kung accurate ba yung makina magmula sa simula hanggang sa huli. Nakita niyo rin po yung stress test na ginagawa para sa mga USB, yung mga storing device. Inaalam kung ang mga ito ay tama't makakapag-store ng maayos.
On April 20, the Commission will start the deployment of the official ballots. This will be accounted to the City Treasurer's Office. The COMELEC assured there will be no delay and they are still on track as far as their schedule is concerned.
At all costs, lahat ng balota at lahat ng makina ay dumating on or before May 5. Bakit? Kasi magsisimula ng May 6 onwards, isang buong linggo, yung final testing and sealing.
The COMELEC foresees the possibility of also deploying machines to Myanmar and Thailand after the earthquake if the circumstances won't permit Filipinos to vote via online on the said countries. They are ready to immediately print ballots and prepare ACMs. There are about 300 registered voters in Myanmar and there are more than 8,000 in Thailand.
Kung makagiging effective pa rin ba yung electronic transmission, electronic voting o internet voting ng mga kababayan natin sa Myanmar. Otherwise, baka ipadala namin kaagad ay yung mga makina. So, aware po tayo sa development na yon.
Meanwhile, on the local campaign, the poll body reminds candidates that the election is not a war and respect should remain within political rivalries. In Abra, COMELEC received reports of consecutive shooting incidents involving candidates. That's why they are looking into the possibility of placing Abra under COMELEC control.
Konting-konti na lang yan sa Abra na yan. At don't test the patience of the Commission as far as this province is concerned. We place Abra under COMELEC control in 2022. We place Abra under COMELEC control in the barangay and SK elections. We will not hesitate to place Abra under COMELEC control once again. It may be a competition, but it is not a war. Magkakaibigan pa rin tayo, isang bayan pa rin tayo at magkakalahi. So, walang patayan, walang gulangan.
From People's Television Network Manila, Luisa Erispe for Balitang Pambansa.
The palace understands the appeal of commuter groups to suspend the scheduled fare increase for the light rail transit or LRT starting April 2. However, the palace explained that while the administration wants to defer the fare hike, it is bound by contract and that failing to implement the increase could lead to bigger problems for commuters in the future. Starting April 2, the single journey ticket will increase from 45 pesos to 55 pesos. While the minimum fare will rise from 15 pesos to 20 pesos. On the other news, the Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, is intensifying its efforts to curb the sale of substandard materials in local markets. These and other stories in tonight's Business Wrap from the Philippine News Agency.
In our business news, the Department of Trade and Industry is stepping up its efforts to prevent sale of low-quality materials in local markets. Trade Secretary Maria Cristina Roque said this initiative, led by Task Force Kalasag, would go after substandard products as construction activities are expected to rise during the dry season. Roque stressed that construction materials must be locally manufactured, meet quality standards, and be compliant with the Tatak Pinoy Act or Republic Act 11981's criteria for government project prioritization. The DTI said that nearly 21,000 units of substandard steel and other materials worth 1.44 million pesos were seized by Task Force Kalasag earlier this month. Several projects, each worth over 50 billion pesos, including one from Korean technology giant Samsung, are awaiting the approval of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. The Korean firm is expected to invest 50.65 billion pesos into Samsung Electromechanics Philippines Corporation, or SEMPhil. Special Assistant to the President for Economic and Investment Affairs, Secretary Frederick Go, expressed optimism that the Office of the President will finalize the approval process within the first half of the year. Over 100 billion units of multi-layer chip capacitors for the automotive sectors will be produced in a plant in Calamba City, Laguna. This is set to launch commercial operations by the fourth quarter of 2027, and this is expected to create around 3,000 jobs. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas reported a 0.5% increase in the foreign currency-dominated loans granted by banks in the fourth quarter of 2024. BSP data released on Monday showed that outstanding loans granted by foreign currency deposit units, or FCDU of banks reached $15.82 billion as of end December 2024 from $15.75 billion as of end September last year. Year-on-year outstanding FCDU loans increased by 4.3% from the end December level of $15.16 billion. Meanwhile, FCDU loan portfolio in the last quarter of 2024 remained predominantly medium to long-term or those payable over a term of more than 1 year. Of the total FCDU loans, those granted to residents accounted for 62.7% or $9.91 billion. The BSP said majority of these loans went to merchandise and service exporters, towing, tanker, trucking, forwarding, personal and other industries, and power generation companies. And that's the latest business news from the Philippine News Agency. This is Marita Muahe for Balitang Pambansa.
Thank you, PNA. Meanwhile, after years of struggle, 278 former rebels and communist sympathizers now have a home to call their own within the 120-hectare Peace and Prosperity Village in San Isidro, Leyte, a symbol of reconciliation and new beginnings. Ulat Reyes from Philippine Information Agency, Leyte, tells us more.
They were fighting for lands they can till for their livelihood, but they got instead a home they can call their own, years after going against the government that has long welcomed them back into the folds of the law. 278 former rebels, communist supporters, and sympathizers finally got their own housing units inside the 120-hectare Peace and Prosperity Village in Dahadaco, San Isidro town in Leyte. Melody Paloma, a former rebel who joined the armed group at 13 years old, said it is important that she and her family will now be safe and secure in their own home, thankful that she made the decision to surrender and give her family a normal life.
Gusto namin manimuyo nga kanang murag malinaw na bitaw. Salamat sa tanan-tanan nga mga agency nga bisdag. Kuan namo nga matabangan mi nga magkaroon kami ng bahay or ato dito sa Prosperity Village.
Through the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, the government promised the surrendering rebels benefits such as housing, financial assistance, and livelihood programs. The Peace and Prosperity Village is one fulfillment of that promise. They also received financial assistance from DSWD's program, Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situation, or AICS. Many of the rebels who are from various parts of Leyte province joined the armed groups due to poverty, lack of opportunities, and land disputes. Giving them homes creates a sense of belonging and security, reducing their motivation to return to the armed conflict.
From the Philippine Information Agency, Leyte, Ulat Reyes, Balitang Pambansa.
The Small Enterprise Technology Upgrading Program, or setup of the Department of Science and Technology, or DOST, has become a big help to micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs, in the Zamboanga Peninsula. Princess Kate from the Philippine Information Agency, Zamboanga del Sur, has more.
DOST-9 setup provides solutions and opening opportunities for micro, small, and medium enterprises in Zamboanga Peninsula. The Department of Science and Technology 9 is driving economic growth in the Zamboanga Peninsula through its Small Enterprise Technology Upgrading Program, or setup, which has benefited over 130 micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs, in the past 3 years.
Ang first phase namo nga na-avail sa DOST, mechanical dryer 8.5 with furnace na siya. Good kaayo ang pausbanan sa among negosyo kay daghan og orders maka-supply na yun ni orders. Naka-supply dyan yung pila ka municipality o bugas. Kaya among pagpasalamat sa program na among na-avail sa DOST.
As MSMEs expand their market reach, local economies benefit from increased trade and stronger business networks, further driving economic progress in the region. Positive impact of setup extends beyond business, helping create livelihood opportunities and fostering a culture of community involvement. This setup remains a big help to MSMEs' success and sustainable development throughout the Zamboanga Peninsula.
Looking ahead, the DOST-9 aims to expand the setup reach, helping more MSMEs to adopt technological innovation that will drive sustained economic growth within the region. From the Philippine Information Agency, Zamboanga del Sur, Princess Kate Harundo for Balitang Pambansa.
And for our weather update, scattered rains are expected over southern Mindanao and Palawan in the next 24 hours due to the Intertropical Convergence Zone or the ITZC. According to Pagasa, the affected areas are the Zamboanga Peninsula, Barm, Palawan, Sultan Kudarat, and Sarangani. These moderate to at times heavy rains may trigger flash floods or landslides. Pag-asa warns cloudy skies with light rains will persist over Batanes and Babuyan Islands due to the northeasterly wind flow. Meanwhile, Manila and the rest of the country will see partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms due to the easterlies. These severe thunderstorms may cause flash floods or landslides. And that concludes our rundown of the latest, widest, and most comprehensive news and information from all across the nation. And before we end, of course, Eid al-Fitr Mubarak to all our Muslim communities anywhere in this world. This is your trusted news source, always ready to inform and serve the Filipino people. Catch Balitang Pambansa again tomorrow at 7 a.m., 12 noon, 6 p.m., and 9:30 p.m. for more updates and developments. From Radyo Pilipinas, I'm Princess Habiba Saripaudak, and this is your Balitang Pambansa.